The night was supposed to be perfect, her anniversary, her moment of love, but instead it became her downfall. Under the shimmering lights of a luxury restaurant, Oma's husband, Chuka, stood up and announced to everyone that he was done with her. Cameras flashed, gasps echoed, and Oma stood frozen, her tears competing with the laughter that followed. The world didn't just watch, they joined in. The video went viral, the woman dumped over dinner. Comments poured in, memes exploded, strangers mocked her. "She's finished," one read. "She deserved it," said another. But what they didn't know was that humiliation has a strange way of igniting something unstoppable. Oma's life unraveled in days. Friends disappeared. Her job became unbearable. Every whisper in the office felt like another stab. Even her family couldn't look her in the eye without pity. She wasn't just heartbroken, she was erased. And that's when she hit rock bottom. Alone, broke and invisible, Oma sat in her dark apartment, staring at her reflection. The same woman who once smiled through love was now staring back as a stranger. "Maybe they're right," she whispered. "Maybe I am nothing." Days turned into weeks, and silence became her only friend. Oma deleted her social media, blocked everyone, and disappeared from the digital world. No one noticed, but she didn't need them to. In that quiet, something shifted. Between tears and exhaustion, she started journaling. Writing down her pain wasn't healing, it was survival. Line by line, she began to understand that she had spent years living in someone else's shadow. Maybe the humiliation wasn't her ending, it was the forced rebirth she never asked for. One evening, while cleaning out old boxes, she found her sketchbook, the one she used as a child to draw dresses and designs. The pages were dusty, but her imagination wasn't. Slowly, she picked up her pencil again. For the first time in months, her hands created something instead of trembling. And just like that, Oma began to find her rhythm, not in applause or approval, but in purpose. The silence that once haunted her now whispered new beginnings. Every night after her day job at a call center, Oma stayed up sketching until dawn. Her table became her world, a sewing machine, a notebook, and endless cups of coffee. The pain that once broke her now fueled her creativity. She started sharing her designs anonymously on a small online forum for upcoming designers. The responses were encouraging, simple hearts, kind words, and eventually one message that would change everything. "Your work feels alive." Ever considered selling them? Oma hesitated. Selling? She didn't even believe in herself, yet. But with borrowed fabric and an old sewing machine from a neighbor, she created her first dress, a bold red gown that felt like defiance sewn into silk. When she posted it online, it sold within an hour. The buyer messaged her, "Whoever you are, you have magic in your hands." For the first time since the public shaming, Oma smiled, not because someone validated her, but because she finally believed she had worth again. Orders started coming slowly, one here, two there. She named her small brand Phoenix by Oma, because just like the mythical bird, she was learning how to rise from ashes. The irony? Her first big client turned out to be a socialite planning her engagement dress, ironically at the same venue where Oma was humiliated years ago. The universe had a strange sense of humor. As Oma fitted the client, flashes of that night haunted her, the laughter, the whispers, the humiliation. But this time, she stood tall. She wasn't a victim anymore. She was the creator, the artist, the brand. The event photos later went viral, not because of the couple, but because of the designer behind the gown. The caption read, "Phoenix by Oma, the new face of Nigerian luxury." And suddenly, the same world that laughter was applauding. Within weeks, orders tripled. Influencers tagged her work. Fashion blogs called her the new creative voice. But Oma didn't celebrate. She kept her head down, still haunted by her past. One day, a journalist called asking for an interview. Oma declined. "I don't do stories," she said. "I make them." Her humility intrigued them even more. The media began hunting for the woman behind the mystery brand. When her identity finally leaked, the internet exploded again, but this time with shock. Wait, the same Oma. People dug up the old viral video, now paired with her success story. Headlines read, "From public shame to fashion fame, Oma's unbelievable comeback." And while everyone was talking about her, she was at home sewing quietly because this time she knew fame could fade, but fulfillment didn't. Months later, at a high-profile fashion event in Lagos, Oma's designs took center stage. The show was electric, every model wearing her creations commanded the room. Then, in the middle of the applause, a familiar face appeared, Chuka. He had aged, but his arrogance hadn't. Cameras caught his expression as he realized the woman on stage, the one everyone was celebrating, was the same one he humiliated years ago. After the event, he approached her backstage. "Oma, you look successful," she cut in with a smile. He froze, speechless. The tables had turned, and for once, Oma didn't need revenge. Her existence was enough. Chuka reached out days later, asking to meet just to talk. Against her better judgment, Oma agreed. They met at a quiet cafe. The same man who once tore her apart now looked lost. "I was stupid," he said softly. "I thought breaking you would make me powerful." Oma stirred her tea, quietly. "You didn't break me," she said. "You built me, just not the way you intended." He laughed bitterly. "You really forgave me?" She looked him in the eye. "Forgiveness isn't for you, Chuka. It's for me." He left that cafe, a shadow of the man he once was. And she left lighter, like the final thread of her past had finally been cut. Within a year, Phoenix by Oma became a global name. Paris called. Milan followed. Her story became the embodiment of resilience. Every interview, every runway, every headline whispered the same truth. You can't bury a woman who knows she's a seed. She opened her first flagship store in Lagos. During the opening, she looked at the sign above the door, Phoenix by Oma, and tears filled her eyes. Not from sadness, but from gratitude. Her success wasn't revenge. It was resurrection. The whispers started small, former colleagues sending messages like, "We always knew you had something special," but Oma ignored them. She didn't need validation from those who once laughed at her pain. What fueled her now wasn't revenge, it was purpose. Still, late at night, when the world was quiet, she'd glance at the old video that ruined her life. Not with anger, but with curiosity. That woman, she'd whisper, died so I could live. Her brand grew fast. Celebrities wanted her gowns. Magazines begged for interviews. Yet, every time a reporter asked about her past, Oma smiled and said, "Let's talk about the future." The mystery made her even more magnetic. And though she stood in rooms of power now, surrounded by applause and flashing lights, part of her heart still beat for the girl who once cried alone in a dark apartment. That girl deserved this victory more than anyone. Because the truth was clear now. Sometimes the people who bury you are really just planting you. Success brings mirrors, people who reflect who you once were. For Oma, that reflection appeared in a nervous intern named Ifee, who trembled on her first day. She spilled tea on a client sketch. Everyone scolded her except Oma. "Mistakes build masterpieces," she said gently. Something about the girl reminded Oma of her own broken beginning. So she mentored her, not in fashion but in courage. "Don't let one bad day define you," Oma told her. "It's just a comma, not a full stop." As Ifee blossomed, Oma realized healing isn't just about rising, it's about helping others rise too. The more she gave, the lighter she felt. Her pain was no longer a wound, it had become wisdom. And for the first time, Oma understood that true success isn't measured in fabric or fame, but in how many lives your strength can stitch back together. Even in triumph, fear lurks. When a top investor offered to buy 60% of Phoenix by Oma, Oma froze. Memories of manipulation whispered in her ear. Partnership, they called it. But she'd heard that word before, right before she lost herself. Her board urged her to accept. It's the smart move, they said. But Oma had learned that smart doesn't always mean safe. She spent nights pacing her studio, torn between expansion and independence. Then, one morning, she stood before her mirror, touched her reflection, and said, "You built this alone. You can build it higher alone." She turned down the deal. People called her foolish again. But Oma smiled, because she'd been called worse before, and every insult had become a prophecy of her strength. The internet rediscovered her again, only this time, not for scandal, but for inspiration. A viral TikTok video of a bride saying, "I wore Phoenix by Oma because I'm rising too," flooded timelines. The hashtag Rise with Oma trended for weeks. But fame attracts both light and shadows. Fake pages appeared, rumors spread, and critics claimed her designs were too emotional. Oma didn't clap back. Instead, she created a new collection titled Scars, gowns woven with visible seams, unfinished edges, and gold-threaded imperfections. At her runway show, she told the audience, "I don't hide the stitches anymore. They're proof of survival." The applause that followed wasn't just loud, it was healing. And the same world that once mocked her brokenness now celebrated her authenticity. One morning, Oma received a golden envelope. Inside was an invitation that made her heart stop: the Royal African Fashion Summit, Paris, the biggest event of the year. The irony? It was sponsored by Chuka's conglomerate. Her team panicked. "You can't go," they said. "It'll stir drama." Oma smiled faintly. "I'm not going for drama," she replied. "I'm going for destiny." Paris was dazzling, filled with cameras, champagne, and whispered secrets. When she stepped onto the stage, the spotlight hit her like redemption itself. The audience rose to their feet, not knowing her past, only her present power. But somewhere in the crowd, Chuka watched, pride and regret battling in his eyes. For once, she didn't look down. She looked forward. After the summit, a letter arrived at her hotel room. No sender, just her name, Oma. Inside were 5 words written in trembling handwriting. "I see you. I'm sorry." She didn't need to ask who sent it. Chuka's handwriting had once signed their marriage certificate and their divorce papers. She held the letter for a long time, her eyes soft, her heart still but steady. Then she folded it neatly and placed it inside her sketchbook. "Some apologies don't need answers," she murmured. "Just closure." The next morning, she mailed him a single card in return. It said only this: "Thank you for my wings." Success doesn't protect you from betrayal, it attracts it. One of Oma's senior designers sold her next collection sketches to a rival brand. Overnight, the designs appeared online under another name. The internet exploded with accusations of plagiarism. Her reputation hung in the balance. The press wanted statements, but Oma stayed silent. Instead, she prepared something no one expected: a fashion show called Proof. At the show, she unveiled the stolen designs, but transformed them. Every copied gown was remade with new details that told her story, symbols of rebirth, loss, and victory. "You can steal the sketches," she said on stage, "but not the soul behind them." The audience erupted. Her silence had spoken louder than scandal ever could. With fame came exhaustion. Interviews, events, production deadlines, it all blurred together. One night, Oma collapsed backstage from stress and fatigue. The doctors warned her, "You're burning out." Lying in the hospital bed, she realized she'd been running from something, still trying to prove she wasn't broken. But healing isn't about speed, it's about stillness. So she took a step back. She closed the studio for 2 months. Social media went wild. "Is Phoenix over?" critics asked. But Oma didn't care. She needed her soul back more than her spotlight. In that silence, she rediscovered her laughter, her music, her God, and most importantly, her peace. When Oma returned, she didn't come back with gowns, she came back with purpose. She launched the Phoenix Foundation, offering free training for single mothers and women recovering from abuse or divorce. Her first batch of trainees reminded her of herself, fragile, afraid, and full of fire. "Don't hide your pain," she told them. "Turn it into your product." Within months, the foundation had transformed dozens of lives. The media called her the mother of comebacks. But to the women she helped, she was simply Sister Oma. Because true success, she realized, isn't when you rise, it's when you help others rise with you. Just as peace settled, a new scandal brewed. A tabloid falsely reported that Oma's brand was funded by a secret lover. Old wounds reopened. The internet buzzed with gossip once more. But this time, Oma didn't hide. She went live on Instagram, calm, confident, radiant. "You can question my finances," she said, "but never my integrity. I built this with pain, not privilege." The live stream hit 2 million views in a day. Women flooded the comments with love and solidarity. Hashtag built by pain trended for weeks. And once again, the storm that came to destroy her only made her voice louder. Years after her downfall, Oma returned to her hometown of Enugu for a charity event. As her convoy drove past the streets of her childhood, she saw a little girl standing barefoot, watching her car in awe. Oma stepped out, handed the girl a sketchbook, and said, "Promise me you'll fill this with dreams." The girl nodded shyly. "What if I fail?" she whispered. Oma smiled. "Then fail beautifully, because every failure is a draft for greatness." That night, Oma stood under the same stars she once cried beneath, her heart full. The woman who once begged the world to see her had become a light the world couldn't ignore. And for the first time, she didn't just feel successful, she felt whole. At a women's empowerment conference, Oma gave a speech titled "The Beauty in Brokenness." As she spoke, the audience listened, spellbound. Halfway through, she paused and smiled. "You all know Phoenix by Oma," she said, "but what you don't know is, it began with humiliation. I was publicly shamed by my husband." Gasps filled the room. "But if he hadn't destroyed me, I wouldn't have discovered me." As she stepped off the stage, a young woman stopped her, crying. "You saved me," she said. "I was about to give up." Oma smiled softly, handing her a card that read, "Rise again. Love, Oma."